नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भक्तेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
Fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 22, Prithu Maharaj's meeting with the four Kumaras. That's one. Maitreya Vacha Janeshu Pragrinnatsvevam
जनेषु प्रगृह्णस्वेवं
Pritum Pritula Vikramam
पृथुं कृतुला विक्रमं
Tatrapajam Murmunayas
तत्रोपजमुनयः
Chatvara Surya Vachashasa
चत्वारः सूर्यवर्चसः.
Great sage Shukriya said, while the citizens were thus praying to the most powerful King Prithu, the four Kumaras, who was bright as the sun, arrived on the spot. Text 2. Tamstu Siddheshwaran Raja
तांस्तु सिद्धेश्वरान् राजा
Yomno Vatarato Archasa
व्योम्नो वतरतोर्चिसा
Lokan Apapan Kurvana
लोकान् अपापान् पूर्वान्
Sanugo Chasta Lakshitan.
अनुरोचष्टलक्षितान्.
Seeing the glowing effulgence of the four Kumaras, the masters of all mystic power, the king and his associates could recognize them as they descended from the sky. So they are coming from upper planetary system, like Siddhaloka. And therefore they have all the mystic powers. So the higher planetary residents generally don't come to the earthly planets in this age. In the previous age they do come because people were less sinful. So in the case of the residents during the time of Maharaj Prithu, they were all sinless, very elevated. So they didn't mind coming to see the king. Prabhupada says ordinarily they do not go to any planet which is sinful. So it's like that, huh? They don't want to get involved. Text 3. Taddarshanodgatam pranam
तद्दर्शनोगतां प्राणान्
Pratyaditsu
प्रत्यादिक्षुर्विवोत्थिताः
Sadasyanugo Vanya
सदस्यानुगो वैन्या
Indriyasho Gunaniva.
इन्द्रियेषु गुणानिव.
Seeing the four Kumaras, Prithu Maharaj was greatly anxious to receive them. Therefore the king with all his officers very hastily got up, as actually as a conditioned soul whose senses are immediately attracted by the modes of material nature. In general, the living entities are conditioned, okay, by the material nature. So the conditioned soul is always anxious to enjoy his senses. But Maharaj Prithu's desire to receive them was just like how a living entity who wants sense gratification, that much he also was excited. But it's just a comparison. Prabhupada writes, the conditioned soul is attracted by the objects of sense gratification. His eyes are attracted to see beautiful things. His ears are attracted to hear nice music. His nose is attracted to enjoy the aroma of a nice flower. And his tongue is attracted to taste nice foods. So all his senses are attracting to do something, but it's not connected with Krishna. Prithu Maharaj wasn't like that. He wasn't material. This was on a spiritual level. He saw them as a spiritual personalities who can help him. So Prabhupada says, it is said, birds of a feather flock together. In this world, everyone is attracted by a person of the same category. A drunkard is attracted to persons who are also drunkards. Similarly, a saintly person is attracted by other saintly persons. Prithu Maharaj was in the topmost position of spiritual advancement. As such, he was attracted by the Kumaras, who were of the same category. It is said, therefore, that a man is known by his company. So you see someone hanging around somebody, generally they are of that nature. It's very common, even in among devotees there are so many cliques, so many groups. You find in a temple all the South Indians one group, North Indians one group, right? So it's Westerners one group.
As long as there are not many people, they cling together. But as soon as the group grows, then within again South Indians, Telugus all will go one side.
Right.
Tamils again will.
So that's the material condition. But spiritual conditioning means you go after that which help you in your spiritual life. No honey.
Actually, honey also. I guess now. She already put in the minutes.
Alright, so let's
Should we put sugar or
yeah.
sugar? Sugar.
Next for Gauravadyantrita Sabhya
Gaurvadya Vyarta Sabhya
Prasrayannata Kandaraha
Prashyayan Kandaraha
Vivat Pujayam Chakre
Vivat Pujayam Chakre
Vihitadyar Annasanam.
Vihitadyarnashanam.
The great sages accepted their reception according to the instructions of the Shastras and finally took their seats offered by the king. The king, influenced by the glories of the sages, immediately bowed down. Thus he worshipped the four Kumaras. So this is an etiquette. How to receive your guests, especially when they are very advanced. Okay. Prabhupada then talks about the different sampradayas. Brahma Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya. So Kumara Sampradaya is coming from the Kumaras, four Kumaras. And Prithu Maharaj was very respectful to the Sampradaya Acharyas. Chakshadaridya na samasta shastri, because they are as good as the personality of God. They represent Krishna. So basically this is etiquette. Prabhupada talks about how one should receive and respect. Text 5. Tatpadaso cha shalile
Tatpadasoja Shalile
Majita laka vandanaha
Majitala Vandanaha
Tatra shilavatam vrittam
Tatra Shilavatam Vrittam
Acharan manayanniva.
Acharan Manayandiva.
After this, the king took the water which had washed the lotus feet of the Kumaras and sprinkled it over his hair. By such respectful actions, the king, as an exemplary personality, showed how to receive a spiritually advanced personality. So this is also what we do. When Acharya, Guru, Sannyasis come, we receive them nicely, wash their feet, unless they say they don't want it. But generally that's the Vedic custom. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Apani Acharya Prabhu Jivera Shikaya. It is very well known that whatever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught in his life as Acharya, he himself practiced. So for all of us, we are actually like representatives of Prabhupada, whoever we meet. So we also have to make sure that whatever we tell them, we also should be acting in that way also. Okay? So unless you tell, unless you practice, how you can tell someone else, right? Very difficult. Similarly, then we should also be careful in our behavior also. Even if you don't tell, behavior also people watch. So then they will say, oh, this guy is like that. Then they lose faith and they also do the same things. Right? And even if you are advanced, you don't have to advertise. People will know. Prabhupada says people automatically accept the real truth in due course of time. Right? So it's like that. Time, no matter how much or whatever you do, time eventually will sort things out. Prithu Maharaj was the ideal Vaishnava king. Therefore, he taught us by his personal behavior how to receive and respect saintly persons like the Kumaras. Therefore, he did that. So, generally, we wash the feet of a Vaishnava advanced devotee and then take the water and sprinkle on our heads. Like that. 6. Atadasana asinan
Atadasana asinan
Swadishneshva eva pavakan
Swadishneshva eva pavakan
Shraddha samyama samyukta
Shraddha samyama samyukta
Prita praha bhavagrajam The 4 great sages were elder to Lord Shiva, and when they were seated on the golden throne, they appeared just like fire blazing on an altar. Maharaj Prithu, out of his great gentleness and respect for them, began to speak with great restraint as follows. So they are special personalities. They were born from the body of Lord Brahma, and they remained young. They didn't want to grow old because they felt if they grow old they will be agitated to get married or not. So they decided not to, and there's a story that Prabhupada writes. They refused to marry, and because Brahma created them for progeny. And they said, no, that's not what we want to do. Brahma got angry, and in his anger he gave birth to Lord Shiva. Okay, Rudra. Okay. So Lord Shiva's Sampradaya is also known as Rudra Sampradaya, and they are also Vaishnavas. Like 7. Prituruvacha
Prituruvacha
Ahoacharitam kimme
Ahoacharitam kimme
Mangalam Mangalayanaha
Mangalam Mangalayana
Yashavo Darshanam Hiyasi
Yashavo Darshanam Hiyasi
Durdarshanam Cha Yogi
Durdarshanam Cha Yogi Vidhi.
King Prithu spoke, my dear great sages, auspiciousness personified, it is very difficult for even the mystic yogis to see you. Indeed, you are very rarely seen. I do not know what kind of pious activity I perform for you to grace me by appearing before me without difficulty. It's very nice purport. In the purport, Prabhupada says, when something uncommon happens in one's progressive spiritual life, this is concerning spiritual life, it should be understood to be incurred by Agyata Sukriti or pious activities beyond one's knowledge. To see personally the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His pure devotee is not an ordinary incident. When such things happen, they should be understood to be caused by previous pious activity as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yeshuntu antagata papum jananam punya karmanam. So, unless indirectly you can understand or directly you can understand that we should stop sinful activities. So automatically if we stop, then Krishna will arrange for these great personalities or advanced devotees to come and meet and guide us. Okay. So on the other hand, at all times one should do the right thing. Then one will also accumulate Agyata Sukriti. Right? That means unknowingly you did something good. But if you always do right things, so even sometimes you don't know, you do the right thing. For example, you clean a place where some sadhu wants to sit, then you don't know, you just came, you saw a dirty place, you clean. The sadhu was like, oh, that's so nice. Because he felt happy, Krishna blesses you. Like that. You unknowingly you are doing it. Or your temple friend say, okay, I want you to clean this place. And you say, okay, that is also, you may not be practicing, but that's Agyata Sukhi. Unknowingly you're doing service. Or you carry a box and devotee is carrying some books, then you can let me help. All these are like Agyata Sukhi. For spiritual progress, okay. We're not talking about like an old lady wants to cross the road and you put her, that is pious acting. It's different, okay.
Prabhuji, one question. So, Esham Twadanta Papam Jananam Punya Karma. Only when once all sinful activities are eradicated or completely stopped, then you will come to
then you can do devotional service.
So how do we understand? Because many people whom we preach to, they are still having some bad habits, but they still come and start practicing Krishna consciousness. Whereas this verse says one has to completely, when one is completely stopped, then only will be able to come.
No, in the beginning you will have to be doing something, right?
When at least I am like that.
In the beginning you are...
Most of us...
Yeah, but the verse,
No,
from what I understand from the
in the
verse...
beginning you have problems, right? You're coming, but you're attracted to this. By attraction you're coming, and by association you're getting purified. So the more you get purified, the more attracted you are.
So that is not really considered a devotional service in the beginning.
It is part of devotional service also. But pure devotional service starts when you're completely thinking of Krishna, right?
Yeah.
Now we are doing more or less like karma yogi, that kind of platform.
Mishra Bhakti.
Mishra Bhakti.
That starts like Prajante Mam Drida Vrata.
It's Drida.
Drida is there, right?
Like Nishta.
Determination.
Nishta.
Without...
So yeah, so same thing. So you have to stop all those things, or desiring, even in your mind, all those should be gone. Then from that point you are actually doing for Krishna. In the beginning you are mixing everything. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I went to Mangala Arati, then you come back and you sleep 6 hours. Like that. So that means you are thinking about yourself rather than... Or then the Guru comes, you go around serving Allah, and the Guru goes and aha, so tired, I've been exhausted the whole week, now I take a break. Go watch some Bollywood show or something. So these are still the sinful remnants that is still there in the heart. Yeah. In any case, Maharaj Prithu's behavior shows his humility. So we should understand that we also have to cultivate humility. Somehow, the best way is to serve some devotees. Then you become humble. Okay? Text 8. Kim tasya durlabhataram
Kim tasya durlabhataram
ihaloke paratracha
ihaloke paratracha
yasya vipra prasidanti
yasya vipra prasidanti
Shivo Vishnuscha sanugaha
Shivo Vishnuscha sanugaha.
Any person upon whom the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are pleased can achieve anything which is very rare to obtain in this world as well as after death. Not only that, but one also receives the favor of the auspicious Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu who accompany the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. That means they carry in their heart the Lord. So Prabhupada quotes the verse from Brahma Samhita, and he says the devotees, out of their extreme love for Govinda, Supreme Personality of Godhead, always carry the Lord within their hearts. The Lord is already in the hearts of everyone, but the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas actually perceive and see Him always in ecstasy. That is the Premanjana Churita Bhakti. Yes. So much love that they can actually see the Lord in the heart. Then Prabhupada writes, therefore Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are carriers of Vishnu. Always in the heart they are carrying. So therefore they are always carrying Vishnu, means he also with his associates, Krishna with his soul. So they are all also in your heart. So it's just like Lord Shiva, devotees are always in the heart. So wherever the devotees are, there are Krishna is there. Okay. And then of course Srila Prabhupada talks about one has to please the spiritual master, who is also a Brahmana and Vaishnava. So that's an important consideration. When we do that, then we don't have to worry about other things, because by their blessing we will achieve. So it's just like when Vidura came home after his pilgrimage, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, Bhavad Vidya Bhagavati Tirtha Bhuya Swayam Vibhu Tirtha Kurvanti Tirthani Svantasthena Gada. He said, wherever you went on pilgrimage, but wherever you go, you are actually, you make that place a pilgrimage. Because you carry
The Lord in the
Svantasthena Gada.
Gada.
The Lord who carries the Gada. Like that. So, in a sense, one who is a devotee, he is always thinking about Krishna. And the Lord, because he is thinking of Krishna, he is also thinking of his devotee. So they always are together in that sense. So that's basically what we find here in this particular verse, text 9. Naiva lakshayate loko
Naiva lakshayate loko
lokan paryantatopiyan
Lokan paryantatopiyan
yata sarvadvisham sarva
Yata sarvadvisham sarva
atmanam yasya hetavaha
Atmanam yasya hetavaha.
Prithu Maharaj continued, although you are travelling in all planetary systems, people cannot know you just as they cannot know the Super Soul, although he is within everyone's heart as the witness of everything. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva cannot understand the Super Soul. The conclusion Prabhupada says is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart. And his pure devotees of Vaishnavas are also travelling all over the world, but those who are under the modes of material nature cannot understand the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of this cosmic manifestation, or the Vaishnavas. So you can't really understand why a Vaishnava does something, or we cannot guess why they do so, because they are always thinking about the Supreme Lord and how to please Him. Okay? And therefore, when even a Vaishnava comes into the association of ordinary people, they cannot see him as somebody great, right? So then they will not. They become invisible, right? If there's so many people, you don't know who's a Vaishnava. So it's like that. But one who practices Krishna consciousness, then you see someone wearing tilak in the railway station, you know, oh, that's a devotee. You recognize. Otherwise, it's not possible. And similarly, you cannot see the Lord just because we become taking up the process. It takes a while before the Lord reveals Himself. And in the meantime, He reveals through the Archa Vigraha, Archa Murti. And that's His manifestation. Until you become sufficiently purified, then He reveals directly in your heart and in front of you. So therefore Prabhupada says it takes time, gradual. Text 10. Adana apite danya
Adana apite danya
Sadhavo griha medinaha
Sadhavo griha medinaha
Yadgrihayi arha varyambu
Yadgirahi hariha varyambu
Tirna bhumishwaravaraha. A person who is not very rich is attached to family life, becomes highly glorified when saintly persons are present in his home. The master and servants who are engaged in offering the exalted visitors water, a sitting place and paraphernalia for reception are glorified. And the home itself is also glorified. So basically, no matter what your situation is, but if you invite a sadhu or a very advanced devotee in your home, automatically your position is glorified because you're serving them. Otherwise, who would you serve? You would only serve your family and your senses, which is what it is saying here. And it's interesting, he says not very rich. It seems that people who have too much wealth will not want even sadhus in their home. So Vedic system is invite saintly persons to your home. If you read Prabhupada's pastime, his father was always inviting anybody who looks like a sadhu. Yeah.
I said they'll think they'll take their money.
Yeah. Yeah. So they don't. The rich people don't call them because they are afraid someone will take their money. So then Prabhupada says, householders, if they argue, oh, we are not rich, we cannot receive the great saintly preachers or persons because they have so many disciples. And this thing happens even in ISKCON, right? Sometimes the Guru comes with 3-4 people and then the household has to feed them and then they say, oh, I need this, buy this, buy that. Pretty much after a couple of weeks the bill goes up. So they would, yeah, I can understand. If a householder is to receive a saintly person, he has to receive his entourage also. It is said in the Shastras that Durvasa Muni was always accompanied by 60,000 disciples. And then if there was a little discrepancy in their reception, he would be very angry and would sometimes curse the host. So everyone is afraid of hosting Durvasa Muni. So the point is, it's not that you have to have so much things. The thing is you have to be willing to receive saintly guests. And you can treat them very nicely. A glass of water is also considered good enough. But if you don't even want to invite them for your house, then that is not, that means you still have a long way to go in your progress. Prabhupada says in India, I don't know now, but in those days, the custom is that even an ordinary person is offered a glass of water if he suddenly visits and one cannot offer him food stuff.
That's correct.
If there is no water, then one can offer a sitting place, even if it is on straw mat. So that is also, the old system is like that. Please at least sit down before you go. They will say that.
We'll make tea.
Tea.
And if one has no straw mat, clean the place and ask them to sit down. And then Prabhupada goes, supposing that a householder cannot even do that, then with folded hands he can simply receive the guest saying, welcome. And if he cannot do that, then he should feel very sorry for his poor condition and shed tears and simply offer obeisances with his whole family, wife and children. In this way he can satisfy any guest, even if the guest is a saintly person or a king. Very nice instructions, right? Very nice instructions. So Lord is not actually attracted to people with wealth, high birth, knowledge, right? Who says that? Queen Kunti, Janmaishwara, Nidamana Madhapuman, Naivarihati Abhidavatum, Tum Akinchana, right? Yeah. So she says like that. You can't approach him with money. So, but if you have money also, then it's not because of money you should be put up in front, right? Like I said, I've seen they come to temple and the rich man goes in front like that. They say in Tirupati it's like that. You pay a certain 1,000 rupees, then they immediately go darshan. Actually, we shouldn't do that. Huh? We should welcome them nicely, but we shouldn't treat them like, because of money I treat you like. Because everything is actually run by the personality of God. Okay, continuing text 11. Vyalalaya druma vaiteshu arikta kila sampada grihasti tapadiya adatirtha vivajjitaha. On the contrary, even though full of all opulence and material prosperity, any householder's house where the devotees of the Lord are never allowed to come in, and where there is no water for washing their feet, is to be considered a tree in which all venomous serpents live. Okay, so we should invite, otherwise we become like envious people. Okay, the tree is like a house, and the venomous serpents like envious living entity. Okay, So you don't want to increase your venom or enviousness. By serving these personalities, you become humble also. Okay. So in general, the system was Vaishnavas, they take the time to go meet the grihasthas to educate, as long as it takes to
Milk the cow.
Milk the cow, yes. Right. So I don't know how long Mother Chan.
15 minutes it is said about 10-15 minutes one cow. That's all it is.
He said that?
I mean, I didn't ask Mother Chandra Prabhu, but in general,
Oh,
that's how they take it.
Yeah.
He said 1 hour.
Huh?
1 hour for a cow.
1 hour per cow. So that, I mean,
This
whatever,
counts
how
how
long
those
it takes, that's how long you,
They don't give that
sannyasi stay, generally, in those days.
They don't.
So of course there's two kinds of sannyasis, Ekadandi and Tridandi, and this there's a description of sannyasis from different sampradayas, different followers. Prabhupada elaborates on that. One is only mainly interested in the Brahman platform, and another category they want to merge in the Brahman Jyoti, and then the Vaishnavas want to do service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So therefore, based on the translation of Srila Prabhupada says, the conclusion is that Tirtha Padiya refers to Vaishnavas. Okay. And then he says Tirtha Kurvanti Tirthani, which we just said earlier on, right? Swantastena Dadapu. Also are Vaishnavas. They make the place into pilgrimage. We just discussed that earlier. So sandalwood trees, Prabhupada says, there's always venomous serpent. Sandalwood is very cold, and venomous serpents, because of their poisonous teeth, are always very warm, and they take shelter of sandalwood trees to become cooler. So it's like if you are very envious, then you are you are hot, always fighting. Similarly, there are many rich men who keep watchdogs or doormen and put up signs that say, "Do not enter, trespass is not allowed, beware of the dog," etc. Sometimes in Western countries, a trespasser is shot. There's no crime in such shooting. Prabhupada says that it's happening every now and then. This is the position of demoniac householders, and such houses are considered to be residential quarters of venomous snakes. Okay. So then he quotes Chanaka Pandit, the two envious living entities, the snake and the envious man. Of the two, the envious man is more dangerous than the snake, because a snake can be subdued by charming mantras or by some herbs, but an envious person cannot be pacified by any means. So that's how bad it is. So don't become envious. Try to see how you can serve Vaishnavas somehow or other. Invite them to your home. Swagatam. Text 12. Swagatam vo dvijashrestha.
Swagatam vo dvijashrestha.
Yadvratani mumukshavaha.
Yadvratani mumukshavaha.
Charanti shraddhaya dhira.
Charanti shraddhaya dhira.
Balayeva brihanti cha.
Balayeva brihanti cha.
Maharaj Prithu offered his welcome to the four Kumaras, addressing them as the best of the Brahmanas. He welcomed them, saying, "From the beginning of your birth, you strictly observe the vows of celibacy. And although you are experiencing the path of liberation, you are keeping yourselves just like small children." So we read about their pastime in the third canto, right? Yeah. How they were manifested and how they decided not to grow. Okay. So they didn't want their senses to be disturbed, particularly sex disturbances. But they are actually Naistika Brahmacharya. They're controlling their senses, and they will not lose their semen. So anyway, Prabhupada speaks about the Sampradayas again. And Nimbarga Sampradaya is also in the line of
Kumaras?
Kumara Sampradaya.
Yeah, Kumara.
Okay. So in any case, Maharaj Prithu is offering respect to the Kumaras. He didn't say you are not from my Sampradaya. So he treats a Vaishnava very nicely. Any of the Sampradayas, if they are Vaishnavas, we should treat them nicely. So Prabhupada says, in other words, everyone should offer respect to a Vaishnava without considering his source of birth. Vaishnave jati buddhi. Okay? No one should consider Vaishnava in terms of birth. Okay. Text 13. Kachinna kushalam nata
Kachinna kusalam nata
indriyatata vedinam
Indriyatata vedinam
yasanavapa etasmin
Yasanavapa etasmin
patitanam sakarmabhi.
Patitanam sakarmabhi.
Prithu Maharaj inquired from the sages about persons entangled in this dangerous material existence because of their previous actions. Could such persons, whose only aim is sense gratification, be blessed with any good fortune? A very good question. There are so many people now who are not interested, suffering. So how can they be blessed? It's interesting. Prabhupada says he didn't ask about their good fortune. Because the Kumaras are always auspicious by dint of their life in celibacy. And they are already a liberated personality, and in this case they are already a highly elevated pure Vaishnavas. So anyone who follows the principle of Krishna consciousness is always already is auspicious. Remember, when you take up pure devotional service, Shubhada, it manifests immediately if you do it properly. Okay? So they don't have any kind of ill fortune, it's always good fortune. And whoever comes in their association is also, by association, they get good fortune also. So Prabhupada says Prithu Maharaj asked for his own sake, okay, because he is a grihastha and he wants to know how am I. Kings means Raja means what? The word Raja means passion or enjoyment. So King Raja. So he wants to clarify, kings are meant to be always associating with wealth, women, like their wine and so on. Remember what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to King Prataparudra, right? He said, I want to say he's with money, women, like that. So here's the devotee. So therefore King Prithu is asking similarly to these great sages as to what he should be doing in his situation. A king has to do so many things, right? He has to be with a lot of sense enjoyment, plus he has to go out and kill wild animals, so many things, And he understands they are not auspicious. 4 kinds of sinful activities: associating with women for illicit sex, eating meat, intoxication and gambling are allowed for the Kshatriyas. For political reasons, sometimes they have to take to these sinful activities. Sometimes, not that they always do, okay, and very rarely. Okay. Kshatriyas do not refrain from gambling. So, if anybody asks them to come and play a die game or whatever, because they have wealth, they allow this concession. Because they are in the mode of passion, they allow these concessions. But not all the time. They do it once in a while. So Prabhupada says the Pandavas like that, and they were challenged by Duryodhana's party and they lost everything. And the wife was insulted. And in the same way, the Kshatriyas will like to fight. So here you can see in this purport further descriptions about kings, their position, or Kshatriyas' position, and what they do, what they can't do, like that. Descriptions of the Kshatriyas. And then the Kshatriyas are also like family householders, not that they are different, many households, they also have responsibilities in the houses. Prabhupada's Grihastha life is inauspicious because Grihastha means consciousness for sense gratification. So generally you find that is the case because they try to accumulate things to make their life easy, simple and so on. Like that. And as soon as you have sense gratification, there's a chance of falling down, from a spiritual platform. You tend to want to enjoy more and more. Or it's okay, I don't have to go temple this week. Maybe also next week, no need like that. Slowly, because you're enjoying something, so you don't want to give up that enjoyment. So it becomes dangerous. So therefore, that position is dangerous. That is why both the husband and wife must practice Krishna consciousness and guide each other, help each other like that. Otherwise, it won't work. One person, very rarely you see one of them, if they have such struggle, they escape. But most cases, the whole family will be ruined like that. Therefore, this material world or place is padam yabbi padam natesham, very dangerous. Because everywhere you go in society, every place you go, everything is about sense enjoyment. Right? Everyone, everyone. Only Srila Prabhupada was the only one was telling us no. Otherwise, we only hear, yes, how to enjoy life. What was the goal of life? Before Prabhupada, it was enjoyment based on good wife, good husband, good children, good home. Everything good and great, but it never happens that way. Never. Very, very rarely it happens. Very rare. Even if they have everything, somewhere along the line something will give in. Right? Something will go wrong. If they have everything good, they are so happy, suddenly someone dies. Health problem. So many things will happen. So that's why it's a dangerous place. To pursue sense enjoyment, you'll never be happy. So he's asking based from his experience, what the benefit of the fallen conditioned soul, who are all struggling for sense enjoyment. He says, what should they be doing, Will they have any auspiciousness? Right? So that's what he wants to know. Basically, it appears that he wants to save them. Right? We can see his compassion. And Prabhupada says, and we all should appreciate this point, another significant word is swakarma bihi. One becomes fallen by dint of his own past bad activities. Okay? We shouldn't turn around and blame someone for something that is in this life that happens to us. It is happening due to our own activities from previous lives. Everyone is responsible for his fallen condition because of his own activities. When activities are changed to devotional service, one's auspicious life begins. Right? So even if you see someone suffering, we shouldn't say, it is due to your bad karma. That is also not good. We should feel sorry and compassionate for them. Right? Text 14. Bhavatsu kushala prashna Atma rameshu nishyate kushala yatra Nashanti mati vrittaya Prithu Maharaj continued, my dear sirs, there is no need to ask about your good and bad fortune, because you are always absorbed in spiritual bliss. The mental concoction of the auspicious and inauspicious does not exist in you. Only if you are associating with matter, then you have happiness and distress. If you are always associating with the spiritual things, where is the chance of being inauspicious at all? Sometimes you do things in mode of goodness, sometimes mode of passion, sometimes mode of ignorance. So therefore you experience all the different ways the modes attack us, right? Sometimes the mode of goodness is predominant over passion and ignorance. Sometimes passion is predominant, sometimes ignorance is predominant. Like that. So when we are facing sometimes happiness and sometimes distress. Papa says that is called illusion. Okay. Because we associate with the material nature. We think we are part of the material nature, but that is illusion. That is the potency of the material nature. It makes us think we are part of this material nature. Based on our false ego, we identify with this body. It is like that, sir. Like when you dream something horrible, you are there, but it's an illusion. Once you get up, you're like, man, why did I dream like that? So our experience also is like that. It's like a big dream, because our real activities is in the spiritual world. We are transcendental, but only covered materially for a very important purpose, so that we learn that we cannot be happy on our own without the Supreme Lord. Okay? We were generated for the pleasure. We are supposed to serve and give pleasure to Krishna, and by that action we become happy. That is the only way our happiness is assured. Anything else is temporary. You know, you can get something, just like on a cold day you rub your hands, you feel warm, and, you know, but that's it. As soon as you stop, that's it. That's how material happiness is. It's not a real happiness. You need to go to a warm house like here, and then you feel warm. You cannot stand outside and rub your hands. You don't feel good like that. Okay, so that's our nature. We are spirit souls. We have a specific purpose. We deny that purpose, and therefore we have to get reformation to learn our purpose. This material world is to teach us our purpose, what we are meant to do. But in the meantime, we continue associating the material nature and trying to find happiness. We cannot. Sangat sanjete kamaha. Okay, so therefore we simply create artificial happiness and then distress, happiness, distress. So it's important to understand our relationship with Krishna. And if you don't get that happiness in this material world, we become unhappy, angry, agitated, and then finally we lose our intelligence. Right? You can see so many times, if you think about things you have made mistake, you think about it, it's because you were not intelligent at that point. And why were you not intelligent? Because you were covered by ignorance, illusion, bewildered. Prabhupada quotes that verse, Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti brahma smriti brahma buddhinasho, buddhinasho pranasho. So even in the case of the Kumaras also, right, they were liberated, but they were not really at the highest level of transcendental position. That means they were not bhaktas yet, until they got the opportunity of seeing the Lord after smelling the tulsi, sandalwood tulsi from his lotus feet. Yeah. And then they also became very advanced and attracted to the Lord's personal pastimes. So for you, if you don't want auspiciousness or inauspiciousness, then just simply just do service. If you can't do completely, then you will find that you are going to go through that. But then you have to understand why it's going through. Okay? Otherwise it's not going to be easy. Text 15. You cannot blame other people for your problems. Okay, please understand that. Text 15. Tadaham krita vishramba Surido vas tapasvinam Priche bhava tasmin Shema kenanjasa bhavet. I am completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how in this material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. So it's very similar to what the Parikshit Maharaj also asked. Right? What is the purpose? Two questions, yeah. Same thing, he is also asking the same thing, ultimate goal. So generally, as I said earlier, the saintly persons or sannyasis don't come because they want something from you. They come because they want to give and guide people to understand spiritual life, not for their own personal benefit. Even if it seems like their personal benefit, it is for your purification action. So we should be very willing to serve some such saintly persons. Maharaj Prithu was assured of this fact, why they are here. Therefore, instead of wasting time by asking the Kumaras about their welfare, that means, how are you, what are you doing, he's not going to waste time like that. He's going straight to the point. And what is the point? Am I going to be relieved from this dangerous materialistic existence? Okay. And he's asking not for himself again, he's asking for all the living entities. Okay. Sri Narottam Das Thakur says, Sansara Visha Nele Diva Nishi Hai Jwale Juraite Na Kainu Upaya. We are always suffering from material pangs and our hearts are burning. But we cannot find any way out of it. This is very true. It's like, you have seen that wheel where the mouse is going. It's trying to run and run and run, but it never can go to the end. It can jump off, but generally they don't. They find, they like to keep running on the wheel. So it's like us. We know it's not what we are doing in this world, whatever we are pursuing materially is not good for us, but we don't know what to do, so we continue running in the
Electrical.
material.
Continue running on the electrical.
Elliptical? Oh, your exercise machine, like that. So they cannot find any way out of it. So therefore, association with devotees are very important because they will straighten our intelligence. Sometimes our intelligence is stuck in a certain way, it's rotting, and we don't want to come out like a pig in a sty, in a dirty place. When you tell the pig, come on, it's dirty, the pig says, no, I'm happy. Like that. So we need good association. Even to find association or take association, we refuse sometimes. So that is the situation of most of the materialistic person. Prabhupada says the materialistic person can also be called tapasvi, which means someone who's always suffering from material pains. One can get rid of all these material pains only when he takes shelter of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. This is also explained by Narottam Das Thakur, Golo Kera Prema Dana Harina Sanchir Ratina Janmile Kene Tai. Narottam Das Thakur regretted that he did not pursue his attraction for the transcendental vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra. Now he is regretting, what about us? We don't even regret. Right? That's our position. We don't know whether we are suffering or not. If we are suffering, we will be crying now. Why am I still here? Why am I not having taste for the holy name? So we have to understand we are really, really bewildered. Super bewildered. Not one layer, 2 layers, a million layers. 16. Vyaktam atma vatamatma
Vyaktam atma vatamatma
Bhagavan atma bhavanaha
Bhagavan atma bhavanaha
Swanam anugrahayema
Swanam anugrahayema
Siddharupi charati ajaha
Siddharupi charati ajaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always anxious to elevate the living entities who are His parts and parcels, and for their special benefit, the Lord travels all over the world in the form of self-realized persons like you. So they carry the Lord in their heart, and then they have a purpose to join people to Krishna or to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Kumaras were both yogis and jnanis and bhaktas. They went through all of that. They were impersonalists and later they become pure devotees. Okay. So in general, the devotees should travel to preach, do something like that. When you go and visit your family members, do some pravachan, call your friends and so on and say, I want to talk to you about something that is very important. Whether they like it or not is not a big issue. But you cook prasadam and then you invite them and you say, this is good for your life. It has helped me, I want to help you all also. So at least you do that kind of activity when you go to India or what, then you have some favor from Krishna. He'll be so blessed, he'll be so pleased with you. Okay. So we should become compassionate like that. Because we got the opportunity, so others should get the opportunities also. So this is what Krishna wants, or Srila Prabhupada is saying. And Prabhupada knows because he is coming from the spiritual world. The Lord wants us to cultivate the right intelligence, and that's where the difficulty is. We are all trying to cultivate on our own, but then we don't know what is right and wrong. So we need proper guidance. Just like Prithu Maharaj, who is such an elevated person, still he is talking to the Kumaras like that. Similarly, we shouldn't think we are so great. We are nobody. So according to our desires, the Lord is going to fulfill it. Right? He is watching in our heart, Upadrasta Manta. Right? Whatever you want, He is going to permit. And then later on, whether you cannot remember, He'll make you forget and remember. Right? Like that. So, we all have gone through this, nectar instruction and devotion, 3 categories of devotees, Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama. Right? Okay, so there is a whole paragraph that Prabhupada discusses about different categories of devotees. But the Kumaras are Mahabhagavatas, okay? They have studied and done everything and they know exactly the conclusions. We've discussed about Krishna with your father, Lord Brahma, with Narayana, everybody. And so it's not like they're still struggling, no. So basically again Prabhupada says, when you understand the purpose behind the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the reason why the Lord wants us to go back to Godhead, when you understand that, and when you go around giving people that knowledge, then you are as good as carrying the Lord in your heart. Same thing as in previous verses he says. And if you represent Krishna, then you are good as Krishna, but you are not equal. That you have to understand. But then people don't understand that. Therefore, the Mayavaris say, you are Narayana, I am Narayana. Samoham Narayana. That is nonsense.
Namo Narayana.
Yeah, Namo Narayana. Once you take sannyas, you become Narayana. So we don't. We say Shakshat Darivena Samastra Shastre. As good as Narayan, but not Narayan. You can be empowered like Narayan, but you are never Narayan. You can never become Narayan. Narayan is Narayan. Okay. We are not Narayan. Text 17. Maitreya Vacha.
Maitreya Vacha.
Ritos Tat Suktam Akarnya.
Pritos Sukam Akarnya.
Saram Shushtu Mitam Madhu.
Saram Shushtu Mitam Madhu.
Smayamana Iva Pritya.
Smayamana Iva Pritya.
Kumara Prativachaha.
Kumara Prativachaha.
great sage Maitreya continued, thus Sanat Kumara, the best of the celibates, after hearing the